Welcome to the Two Beast Podcast. We're Chris and Ollie, and we wanted to find out what happens when you commit to making 100 episodes of a brand new podcast.
Join us each week as we explore the worlds of fitness, improving ourselves, and things that make us laugh. Let's jump in to this week's episode.
Oh well, we'll just go live and see what happens, shall we? We'll just play it by ear.
It's normally what happens.
Yeah, if it all goes to fuck, who cares? It's only a pod, innit? It's only our special pod that we want to make really, really good.
It's only this thing we've decided to force ourselves to do on our off days.
Yeah, we don't force ourselves. I'm not forced right now.
No, we love it too much to do that.
No, I've got my big winter socks on. Oh well, never mind, I'll stay on.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
It's another pod.
It's another Two Beast episode. We are on episode fuck knows. I think this might be 30. No.
29?
29.
Yeah, I feel like it's 29, because 28's in the bank.
Yeah, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling the vibes?
Yeah, I feel alright, man.
Yeah?
I feel good. Yeah.
That's not why I asked. I said, are you feeling the vibes?
What kind of vibes?
Big vibes.
Big vibes?
Pod vibes.
Pod vibes? I'm
Yeah.
feeling the pod vibes,
He's
yeah.
feeling the pod vibes. Ladies and
I
gentlemen,
like a bit of talking.
there's pod vibes about. There's floating about.
There's pod vibes in the air.
Ooh, it's in the air. You can taste it.
You can eat massive chunks out of it.
Massive chunks of pod vibes. All right, then. Well, we've got an extensive topic list as usual today. So why don't you start? What's your topic? What's your first topic?
My first topic is...
Has he got anything?
No.
Wanker. We are 3 weeks into the new year right now, and we are firmly balls deep in the flow of 2024, aren't we?
Certainly are.
Is it shaping up to be a year that you will enjoy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you can never predict the future, can you? I mean, fucking hell, anything could happen at this point. But currently, as far as these first 3 weeks are going, it's looking good.
How's your stretching going?
Good. Good. I feel limber. I feel stretchy.
Well, I'm glad one of us does.
Oh, no.
Is
somebody giving up? Is somebody giving up?
Very fucking rapidly moving towards a challenge failed this month.
Oh, no.
For that one, yeah.
Shit.
I think I'm about 9 days behind.
Can't really make up for time now,
I mean,
you
I
really?
can. There's still a chance. If I did 2 a day, morning and afternoon, I can't be
It's not
fucked.
going to happen, though, is it?
No, I can't. But is there any way I can salvage it? You know what I mean?
Well, like we've said, it's a month-long thing. So as long as there's improvement, we can't use the tagline, what happens when you stretch every day for 30 days anymore. That's fucking gone out the window.
Well,
No, we can't.
But the challenge wasn't necessarily to see improvement. The challenge was to stretch every day
Yeah.
for 31 days and then see what improvement happens therefore. So regardless of whether or not there's improvement, it's starting to look a little bit like I'm going to fail this challenge. I may as well fucking bugger on anyway and get what...
Yeah, I mean, there's
benefits I
no
can.
point, we said this the other day, didn't we? There's no point in sacking it off. You may as well try and revive something.
Yeah.
Or get something back at least.
Just really, really hard to motivate yourself to do that when you know you're going to get a fucking forfeit anyway.
But at least you'll be stretchier when the forfeit comes.
I don't know, could I do like...
I don't know whether being more stretchy is going to help you forfeit. It might not.
If I come to you and said, I've done stretching 3 times a day, morning, noon and night, would that impress you enough to let me pass the challenge?
I mean, that would probably get you back to where you need to be.
That would be a hell of a save, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
a hell of an effort.
I mean, to be fair, I think I've still got like 4 days to give. So
Okay, well 4 days, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think it's 9, it might be 8. I mean, I did stretching yesterday, but it was pretty pathetic. That's the other thing.
Oh, we're not holding up well to these, are
We're not holding up well. Yeah, it's hard, mate.
Don't know how
But,
people do it.
well, they got no fucking lives, do they? What do you mean?
Some would say dedication. Some would say
Someone say you got too much fucking time on your hands.
Time.
Yeah, I'd sit there. Oh, gotta get my hamstrings fucking curled out.
Yeah.
Losers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fucking anyway. I tell you one thing that I've accidentally kind of given up, unfortunately, is gaming. I mean, I haven't given it up, but like I haven't had I physically have not had time.
I mean,
been too busy grinding.
It's not the end of the world, is it, really?
No, it's not the end of the world. You've gone quite anti-gaming, though. You've got, like...
I haven't gone anti-gaming. I just think, well, no, I'm gonna sound a little bit hypocritical here, I think, because...
Yeah, I think you might. But carry on.
Because there's other things that you could say there's other things that you could be doing with that time, but then, like, what is that other thing? It's all individual, isn't it? Like, if you want to spend your spare time gaming, then spend your spare time gaming.
That's what I think too.
You know? That's fair enough.
But you've gone, like, you stopped gaming, and then I think you maybe had a similar kind of relationship with gaming as I did with alcohol, where you got out, you started doing it too much.
Yeah.
Started feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
Worried that you might have some kind of problem with it.
Yeah.
And so when you threw it out, you then became violent towards it.
I don't think I've become violent towards it, but
definitely become
I do become negative in some regard, yeah, because I think for me, and this is just a personal thing, like if people out there want a game, carry on. Like this is just from my personal opinion, which is once I am sucked in, I am sucked in.
Yeah.
That is the problem. And it's very hard to then get myself out of that rut of just fucking smashing the PlayStation on and sinking some hours in, you know.
Consoles, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all it is for me. It's just I guess it is a bit like sort of giving up alcohol, really, in many regards. It's like, no, not doing it anymore.
I saw a thing the other day, and
I watch you play it. That's all right.
That's fucking...
That's allowed.
Well fucking do it!
That's allowed. I'm allowed to watch you play.
All you've done is swap gaming for fucking YouTube, as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean, there is that. So that's the other side of the coin, isn't it? It's like, what have I switched it for?
Then you end up buying a new fucking car or something.
Yeah.
Like, instead of a £70 game.
Yeah. Both as bad as each other, aren't they? Both spending money.
As bad as each
other?
other?
Okay, financially wise, the car is worse because it's more money.
Oh, well.
But you still... Well, depends upon what you want to do, doesn't it? What do you want to do with your spare time? What do you want to sink your money into? What do you not
I don't want to sink my money into anything.
No.
That's the ultimate goal, is to not sink money into it. Because, like, that stuff, we'll need it. It's like, I'm not really that interested in being young and fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'd rather be young and smart.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, not trying to... I'm not sure that it's...
Sink money's a wrong word. Spend money on those sorts of, like, after hours activities.
I'm not convinced I want to do that even. Like, in a perfect world, imagine if you didn't have to, if you felt didn't feel the need to have to waste your money on anything. Wouldn't that be better? I'm not saying I'm there.
But then what are you saving? What are you saving for?
Assets.
Like
a house.
Okay.
Business.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably more beneficial, isn't it, to do that?
Especially if you find that stuff fun as well.
Yeah.
Like if you find building a business fun, like many people do, myself included.
Yeah.
Then makes more sense to do that. I think probably the most fun thing you can do with money is spend it on other people, rather than yourself. Be generous. That's pretty fun. You go out with a group of friends and then you just go, "I got this," and everyone goes, "Oh." Not like it's like a Billy Big Balls.
There's a little bit of Billy Big Balls there, is there not?
I don't think so.
I feel like there is. I feel like there's a little bit of like ego in a sense of I get to pay for all of this now. But from a better place of, I guess from the other side is like it's from a good place because you've earned that money and now you feel like you can spend it on other people.
It depends on when you're doing it. Like if you're out with, see if you and me, you and Emma went out and fucking you wanted to pay for the food and I was like, nah, I got this. That would just be being a cunt to my mind, because your missus is there, you want to be the fucking man of the situation. I should just let you do it. Should be fair enough. That's like a respect thing amongst men that I feel like is fairly...
Yeah.
It's like not a lot of people... It's like a subconscious thing. You just do that. If I was to say, whoa, stop there, I'm the fucking money bags here, do you know what I mean? Then that would be cunty. But if you just want to like ring up a couple friends and say, hey, look, I'm feeling generous, do you just want to go out for a meal? Like, I want to pay for it, just have everyone together as a community or whatever. It's just how you package it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always the purpose or what the motivation behind that, you making that decision is. Yeah. Is it genuinely in your heart of hearts for those other people?
Yeah, exactly.
Or is there a sense of,
oh, I'm going to prove how fucking cool I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then all of that's hidden in deep-rooted.
Well, I
well,
think
isn't
the 99% of cases, most people are always trying to do something in order to prove something to people.
Yeah.
I think it's fairly rare that you come across someone that's so self-assured in themselves that they're never trying to impress anyone. And even that's dependent on what context or scenario they're in. Like if even someone who's completely confident in themselves around one group of people may not be completely self-confident in themselves around another group of people who are better than them or they perceive as better than them. So then they might implement those strategies elsewhere. It's like everyone's got a breaking point in it. Like everyone's gonna break and be a coward at some point. It's just at what different breaking points do people last to?
Yeah.
And how can you push yours further down the road as the time goes on? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, a lot of fucking knobheads are trying to impress idiots. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or people that I guess aren't really bringing anything to them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's no two-way exchange there of something being given back.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I agree. If you can spend it on people to help people out, that's great. You know?
It's not even to help people out. It's just like it's just fun, isn't it? Like you get to do stuff with people. What the fuck is the point in doing stuff where only you enjoy it? Like, I mean, I'm not fucking digging at your car thing, but like if you take car as an example, it's
a common topic on this podcast.
If you're really the only person that gives a fuck about that car in your world, how fun is it? Versus like when we did the rally and everyone there was into cars and everyone was having a good time. How much better that was than just like going out for a joyride on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, well, of course it's better. It's always better to do things with other people, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you have that camaraderie and stuff. But then I would argue that the Forever Rally thing, everyone had their own individual excitement about their own car, but then they were also very much excited about seeing other people's cars and hanging out with other people who are car people. You know, I think that's really important to have that center topic that people are quite enjoyed in you know.
Yeah, it's the common thread in a group.
Yeah, for sure. But in order to get to that point, those people still have to be those kinds of people that want to spend money on their own car.
Maybe.
Otherwise, they're not just, you know, in my eyes.
I can't help but think this recently as well. I was listening to David Goggins the other day, and he's been quite an inspiring figure for the last couple of years, but something's got in my head about him, and I can't quite get rid of it. And I said he does seem to be remarkably fucking selfish. Do you know he has a daughter?
Is he?
He's got a daughter. He never talks about her.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, as far as I can tell, he doesn't really have a relationship with her.
Yeah.
And he was talking about relationships the other day on a Chris Williamson podcast, and he was talking about, far be it from me, some fucking nobody, like, criticising other people rather than doing my own shit, like, et cetera, et cetera. I understand that, but, you know, you've got to be careful with who you make your heroes to a certain degree, because if you were to make David Goggins your hero, you would, as I have done, physically fucking break yourself off and be out of action for 6 weeks in crutches and probably estrange yourself from every family member that you know. It's like, there's a couple characters like that I've been sucked into, and then I'm like, as I'm consuming their content, I kind of go down this rabbit hole of, oh, they're sick and everything they say makes sense and all that, and their worldview seems to make mine clearer. And then when I break out of it a little bit, I'm like, that's all fucking, there's a lot of bollocks in there. Like, there's a lot of negativity and downside that they're not necessarily making clear. Like, do you actually want to be like Goggins if being David Goggins means you don't really have that great a friendship or family base with anyone else? Like, the topic he was talking about with Chris Williamson was like, well, when I've had he's obviously with someone now that he's happy with, but he's like, some relationships, you know, when I go in there, I'm like, I'm not what you want in a man. You know, I'm up late nights, early mornings, I grind and all that. And it's like, cool, right? That's aspirational, I guess, that you're sure that you know what you want. But it's like, at what point is the purpose to build a family and provide, you know, give out the next generation's worth of fucking kids and raise strong, independent people into the world? And to what degree are you any fucking good at that?
Is that just a difference in purpose? Like, I've heard him talk about it before, like, his thing is just being the hardest guy out there, right?
Yeah.
If his purpose is his purpose and he's not interested in having kids or he's have a kid or whatever, his purpose in life is to do that.
Well, the only thing I will say is that if he's already had a kid, then his purpose is absolutely that fucking kid. For a start, there's no excuse for abandoning your kid. I don't care how dedicated to the grind you are. If your kid's around, then you just got to fucking sort that out
Correct.
first.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's not. I know nothing about his situation. Right, realistically, I know that little snippet of that fucking little bit of podcast, and it would be really unfair to judge a person based on that. Maybe he keeps it quiet because he doesn't want it in the limelight and all the rest of it. Like,
it's normally the case with these sorts of things, isn't it?
It's a possibility. Sure. Yeah. But I also don't really. I found myself respecting the rhetoric less and less about fuck everyone else. I'm out here grinding, and if they can't keep up, they can fuck off. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I guess you can go with the argument with Goggins that he's inspired an entire generation of people to work harder. But it's not like someone like Jordan Peterson, say, who's inspired. That's the second time I said that.
Inspired by.
It's not like Jordan Peterson has inspired a generation of men to be better husbands. He's inspired people to be better what exactly? And for what purpose? For what purpose does it serve to be like that? Cool, if that is your purpose.
Yeah.
But what's your role in the world other than just fuck everyone else off and run hundreds and thousands of miles?
I think the important thing with any role model, and it's the biggest thing that I've learned, is, and it comes down to a Bruce Lee quote that I hold very dear because I think it's one of the most influential quotes ever, which is, take what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own.
Strong.
Right? Like, that to me, because what you're essentially saying with that quote is, okay, there's people here that I've taken things from that is really inspirational and that will help me. Some of the stuff they do, I'm not really about it, so I'll discard that. I don't really need that. But what I can do is take the positive information and the things that I've learned, combine it with the stuff that I've learned, and therefore improve myself solely through that. So that's so the biggest thing for me is and I think I've had the same thing, is whenever I see people online, I think the problem is that people feel that, like, you have to be exactly like that person. It's not the case. You don't have to be Goggins. You don't have to be Jordan Peterson. You are not them. No matter how hard you try, you are not that person. So what you need to do is take bits that they are doing that you feel are good for the world and that can improve you and better you, but do it in your own way, man, and do it in the way that you want to do it and who you are. Because you can get sucked into that vortex of like, oh yeah, man, I'm like Goggins, I run 200 kilometers a week and God knows what else, you know? Whereas I think the important thing to do is be like, that dude knows how to just get his head to the grindstone and get stuff done. So if I can take from that, when I have a task, whether it's work or whether it's the gym or whatever, if I can use the Goggins mindset in that situation, I can improve myself there. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to use his mindset in every single situation in life, but what I am going to do is take bits and pieces and put them and funnel them into the situations where I think they make the most sense and add me, so that it's not just, so you don't get that comparison of like, oh, you're just trying to be X or you're just trying to be Y. Like, you're still Chris, I'm still Ollie, but we take things and use them to our advantage.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's also the, I hate to bring this quote up because it's so fucking cliche, but I guess when you talk about Goggins in the context of wider community, you're probably judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, completely understand that. I mean, as far as what he's dedicated himself to, he is, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest of all time. You're right. He doesn't have to be good at everything.
No.
And maybe that's what we do with our heroes. We start putting them on this pedestal and expect them to be magnificent at everything. I'm sure he'd be the first to admit that he's got faults and failures too. So
yeah, if anyone's going to, I mean, he's come out and said it multiple occasions. Jordan Peterson's come out. Like, all of these people, a lot of people do come out and say that they're not perfect. They're not saints. And a lot of them do say, look, you don't copy exactly what I do. Like, copy the rule book, but do it in the way that is uniquely you, not in the way that... Like, I think you can still have a blueprint. Like, the classic thing that always stuck in my head was, Arnold Schwarzenegger's story. So when I've read his book, and when he was younger, he basically saw the blueprint that Reg Park, who was a bodybuilder in like the 50s and the 40s, his blueprint was get into bodybuilding, become the greatest, then get into acting, into Hercules movies. And Arnold basically followed that exact blueprint. Now, was he trying to be exactly like Reg Park? No. But what he was doing was he was using his life as a way to plan his own. So he was still using what Reg Park was doing, but he was doing it uniquely Arnold. He wasn't doing it as Reg Park, you know? And I think that's the most important thing. Is to try and make sure you're doing it as uniquely as you as possible. Because then you can get lost and trapped in this world of almost like another side of you that's like a sort of weird, like, you know, you start becoming that person.
Yeah.
But you're not that. That's not you. Like, you're like playing a character almost.
I think that happens. I think there's probably somewhere out there some decent science on this, or like a graph. I could draw it freehand now, roughly in my head. There's always a stage where you like, when you meet someone inspiring for the first time, that process of starting to emulate some of their admirable qualities, it comes off too much at first, where you do just become them for a bit, and you start speaking like them and fucking walking like them and doing everything like them for a bit, especially when you're young.
Because you're impressionable.
Yeah. And then after a while, some of that wears away, but the good things stay still. And then you're in a good place.
Yeah.
There's nothing about my personality. Like, every single thing that I say or do, if I really sat down and thought hard about it, I could trace it back to someone that influenced me at some point. There's very little that I have that is actually truly just fucking spawned in my head.
Yeah, for sure. But what makes you unique is the people that you have chosen to put around you and the bits you've taken.
Yeah.
Like, it's not saying that you have to. I interpret the quote as like, add what is uniquely your own. What that essentially means is you're adding bits. Although you've taken stuff from other people, you're combining it in a mixture that no one else is combining that mixture together. You know, you might take from Goggins, Jordan Peterson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Joe Rogan or whoever, and combine those. But nobody else is doing that in the way that you're combining it. That's what you're doing. It's different.
Well, the other thing that's uniquely yours inevitably is context.
Correct.
You're going to be put into situations that these other people have never been in, or that, you know, slightly different nuances. Generally speaking, we all have a similar experience of life in terms of, you know, sometimes there is sadness, sometimes there is happiness, and fucking all the bits in between. But the individual day-to-day contexts, people you bump into, scenarios you enter, fucking difficulties you face, are all going to be slightly nuanced to you. So that's going to be... how you respond to that is also going to be what makes it uniquely yours, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's situation is different, isn't it, right? Like, we are all the same, but we're also very different at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
well, fair enough.
that was deep to start. I'd like to apologise already because I've said correct twice in this podcast. And
I remember you were going to stop.
I'm not supposed to say that anymore.
Yeah, I forgot that.
So here's to 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's it. Right,
2 correct
run a marathon.
strikes. Yeah.
I suppose speaking of ability to like judging people and expecting them to know things that they don't know about or whatever, being good at everything. We started off talking about like addiction and stuff like that. I've seen comments before. I was watching a Tony Robbins thing the other day, where Tony Robbins was saying something that I personally agreed with regarding alcohol, about identity. Like, if you don't identify as someone that drinks alcohol, you aren't going to want it. Versus if someone asks you, do you want a drink? So, all right, let me restart. Let me do this cleanly so I can try and make this a nice short without cutting it too much, right? If you asked me, do you want an alcoholic drink? My answer would be no. Because I don't identify as someone who is a drinker. In fact, I identify with someone specifically who doesn't drink. So it doesn't fucking matter. You've asked me, do I want a drink? My answer is obviously no. See if I identify as someone who does drink on occasion, I might ask you, what kind of alcoholic drink? And then you go down the pattern there. And so I think we've talked about this before. In marketing, it's a really commonly used tool to to create an identity around your product. That's why YouTubers always have like a fucking like PewDiePie does the bro fist and all that kind of stuff. It's like
You create like an avatar for or like a character.
kind
sort
of,
thing,
yeah. You give them a group to belong to.
Yeah.
You know, we are. I'm trying to think of a good example of one. I can't fucking think of one, but you know what I mean. YouTubers always have a name for their audience, don't they? They're a two-beaster.
Yeah.
Ours could be, we haven't gone down this...
Swifties.
Taylor
Swift.
Exactly, Swifties,
What was it? Bieber? Something Bieber had them as well, didn't he? What were they called? Believers. Was it Believers?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That
like
sort of
these
thing,
fucking famous people come up with these names and you identify, oh, I'm a big Swiftie.
Yeah.
It's like, so now when Taylor Swift releases a new album, of course you're going to buy it because you're a Swiftie. That's what you do. Or when she does a world tour, of course you're going to fucking buy tickets because you're a Swiftie. That's what you do. So like, there's so much market and power in that identity game. But one of the things that so we're speaking about alcohol and all that from our perspective of life. And one of the things I see so often when people are talking about alcohol and alcohol abuse and all that and self-improvement in the aspects of drinking less alcohol is cunts will be in the comments saying, oh, this is clearly someone who has never struggled with addiction. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I thought I had. I thought maybe I might be an addict, but then I ended up proving myself wrong by just fucking stopping drinking, and that was easy as fuck, and I haven't done it since. But I just wonder where the line is of what you can talk about and how you make the context of there's nothing stopping us talking about our alcohol struggles or not struggles, and our relationship with alcohol and what we're going to do about improving our relationship with alcohol without, like, we're not trying to say that we're alcoholics and have a conversation on the same level as those guys. So how do we find that balance? How do we do that? How do we explain that? Does that make sense, first of all?
I know what you're saying.
It was rambly as fuck.
No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's that thing of like, and it happens a lot nowadays, doesn't it? Where people, rather than saying there's like different levels to every situation, right? So like you've just said there with someone who is a raging alcoholic who drinks like 6 or 7 pints every single day and, you know, all of this sort of stuff. Now there's a difference between that, and there's also a difference between people like us who, well, me in particular, I talk for my own, like, didn't really drink that much, but I just decided, well, I may as well just go teetotal and just not drink, right? Because it's healthier for you and all of that sort of stuff. I think the problem is nowadays is that people do this big generalization thing where they feel like as soon as you mention certain things, they immediately think that you're like, again, it comes down to that identity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's what it comes down to. And like, they think that you're sort of generalizing, and it's like, well, I'm not. I'm just doing it from a standpoint of my own context and my own. The only way you can possibly talk about things is from your own perspective and what you see with your own 2 eyes and what you do in your own life. You can't talk about what anyone else has done because you don't live their life. So I think the thing is nowadays people they have this weird thing where it's like jump on someone immediately. That's just like, you know, oh, they said this and they don't know what it's like and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I never said that. Never said anything about that, you know. Again, context is everything. It's the biggest thing. What's up, winners? If you're loving this podcast, make sure to drop us a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on our social media channels. That's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. 2 Beast Podcast, the number 2 Beast Podcast. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, context is... It's the biggest thing. And it's the biggest thing, the problem with social media, and especially like, you know, for us, from a podcast, and you look at any podcast now, the long format, you get all the context because you get the entire thing of what a person's saying. Soon as it breaks down into shorts, you're missing God knows how much context within one situation, and that's when people end up in the situations that they do with, you know, people saying that they're this and calling them out for certain things when that's not at all this, and it all gets mixed up and rambled up in all these social media shorts most of the time. So, yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing really is that.
It's something like the identity thing, and I'm glad that we finally fucking realised why I was banging on about identity, because I forgot myself for a minute. The thing with the identity element of it is like, if you were an alcoholic, it's possible that you have that identity of I'm a recovered alcoholic, and then it's kind of like, maybe this is a fucking extreme, highly cancelable way of saying a very fucking mundane point, but it's like when you have an identity in a group and you see someone else that doesn't really seem like they know as quite as much as you, trying to use the same label, you're like, there's a bit of you can't sit with us type of vibe in there. There's a they're posers type of thing. They don't really know, because it's such an important part of your personality and what you pride yourself on, that when you see someone else enjoying the same benefits, you're kind of like, no, we can't have that. That's like a bit of a toxic fucking streak that happens.
The whole identity thing comes back to who we are as the nature of human beings, isn't it? Is that we are tribal creatures. Mm-hmm. We are tribal animals. And the whole thing is finding your tribe almost. You know, that's kind of what it is nowadays. Whatever that, you know, whether you're a football fan or whether you're a gamer or whatever, you know, alcoholic, whatever. The identity is that is rooted in who people are, as you know, and all that sort of thing. So I guess it's just that sort of like tribal tendencies that we have within us. But because of the way life has evolved now, it's not like back what it used to be, when it's just like finding your tribe and where you live, and there's like, you know, 1,000 people on the planet or whatever, and you're kind of like huddled in your little groups. Now it's a completely different, and I think we talked about this in one of the episodes, I can't remember which one it was, maybe one before Christmas, but like in terms of that sort of like the difference in civilization then compared to now, you know, and just the whole tribal nature is very different, and how basically our human brains are still very much left in like a few hundred years ago, a few thousand years ago, and now we're thrust into this time. Yeah. And we're just not prepared for it. We're just not ready for it.
We're in a fucking bizarre time.
It's a very bizarre time. Yeah, we just haven't evolved for it yet.
I guess I just wish, myself included, that tribal element, when we see other people in tribes that are similar to us, we could spend more time looking for the similarities between the tribes rather than why they're not as good as us.
Well, that's what we should be doing for sure. Because at the end of the day, it should all be about working together, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing, is that we should be working together to improve rather than just all be sort of divided and split off, and you know, because that doesn't help. You again, like, can't really think of any situation, can you, where dividing off into, if you've got like a task that needs to be done, dividing off, unless you're going to divide off into like smaller teams to do those tasks. Like if you've got a team and you're dividing off individually.
Well, you can't imagine a scenario where dividing into teams and then fighting each other would help their grand task.
Totally, yeah. To then try and come to a different, like everyone's come to a different conclusion. Like that doesn't help. Yeah. You have to work in harmony in order to come to the right conclusion, you know?
I realised that with the like the business stuff, because technically, even though I'm a videographer and weddings and corporate are all similar vibes, they are technically, from a marketing perspective, two completely separate businesses.
Yeah.
And in terms of how we charge, in terms of what each project requires of me, it's just completely fucking different ball games.
Because you were talking about a while ago, you were talking about like dividing the two, weren't you? You were talking about having like a wedding business and then like a...
It already is that.
Yeah.
It's already, there's Maven Visuals wedding films, and then there's Maven Visuals.
Yeah.
I call it Maven Visuals corporate.
Yeah.
Like in my head. And they are, for all intents and purposes, completely different. There's nothing that they share, with the exception of a bit of camera equipment. Everything about the branding is different. Everything about the websites obviously are completely separate. The advertising, marketing campaigns are completely separate. The kind of conversations that I'm having are separate. The clients are completely separate because one's B2C and one's B2B. Like there's nothing about it that is similar at all, really, except for the fact that ultimately it comes down to content. And with regards to the topic of breaking off and, you know, dividing and conquering, it doesn't really work, man, because all that really happens, like, I'm on my own doing it for the most part, like at least the day-to-day content aspect, things just take a fucking long time. Because it doesn't matter if I sat here for 20 hours a day. One, if I sat here for 20 hours a day, after about 6 hours, the stuff I'd be producing creatively would be shit anyway.
Yeah.
It's not even like a thing you can. It's not laziness. It's physically just your brain stops working.
100%. It's like, well, it's the same with my job.
Yeah.
Like I can't go for longer than, I couldn't possibly think about setting for 20 hours straight. I just wouldn't have any, my brain would just be mush. You've only got a certain amount of bandwidth in your brain to be able to actually operate in that creative space, I feel like, before you need to start taking breaks, and then you can obviously jump back on,
I reckon if there was a way to measure it, and there probably are ways to measure it, I don't know what they are. Obviously, it would require a fucking big lab. But if you... If you were to measure someone's creative output and the quality of that creative output, there would be a hard limit somewhere. It's not like the physical labour game where you can... I mean, it kind of is, I guess. You push your body so hard. Let's say you did a run for 24 hours, right? You'd start off at your strongest. You'd drop to your weakest point somewhere around the middle. And then you'd come up again.
Second wind.
It wouldn't go directly down from your best to your worst. You'd get your second wind, but the second wind's never going to take you up to your peak again. It's just not physically in terms of your output. If you ran, when we run that 100k in July, we'll run our best pace at the start, then we'll fuck the job and we'll be walking and we'll do 20-minute miles, and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
But it'll only be 12-minute miles.
Yeah.
It won't be we won't see 7-minute miles ever again. So creatively, it's the exact same thing. All of that is just to justify that I'm not lazy, I promise. It's just fucking takes a long time.
He is getting your videos done as we speak. Don't worry, he's not sat around doing nothing.
This video's exporting right now. If you can hear a computer whirring away in the background, that's fucking my graph. That's my raw output.
Yeah.
But yeah, so dividing, basically, that's a long-winded way of saying dividing shit. You should do it. You should work together.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Indeed, it does. Because imagine if, I do my 6 hours, I get tired, and then another editor comes in, fresh, and they just bang, there's another 6 hours.
Yeah.
And you're like, sweet. That's how Logan Paul did his daily vlogs. They used time zones to perfection. Yeah, so he would have British editors, because we're obviously 6 hours behind or whatever. 6 hours behind LA, I think. So he would film all of his vlogs in the daytime, and they would all go to bed. But before they went to bed, they would send their raw footage to a British editor who was just waking up. The British editor would then spend his day editing the vlogs. By the time Logan wakes up, bish bash bosh, you got a fucking...
Hey, that's smart.
Finished vlog, my man.
That is
Whack
smart.
it up on the YouTube, yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah. That's peak efficiency right there.
It is, yeah.
But when you're on your own, if you were Logan Paul on his own trying to do those vlogs every day, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You got no chance.
Yeah.
So...
Or, like you say, the quality would have to drop quite considerably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be absolute.
Because not only are you focusing on having to film the vlog, you've then got to spend however long editing it. Normally, fucking hell, you probably know, twice as long, probably editing it.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Depends how good you are.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But if you're just starting out, say you're like us of the vlog world, it'll take you fucking ages to get all of that rendered and edited and God knows what else. And then by the time you come around to do the next daily vlog, you're ruined. You've got nothing to give. So then as you go throughout the week, your quality is just going to drop off a cliff, isn't it? So
there's a balance between specialisation and boredom. You have to be general enough that every day is exciting, but specialised enough that you can do stuff fucking quickly. Because otherwise you're just... if you're too general, then you're always running into something you haven't done before, and everything's just going to take you 100 times longer than it should.
Yeah.
That's basically... for example, in my work, I'm pretty fucking rapido at Premiere Pro, the actual video editing stuff. If it gets into VFX, I can probably do it. I can do basic graphics and... I know Photoshop decently well, Illustrator decently well, but if it's a proper CGI thing, then I could sit down and learn it. And I would have transferable skills to help me along with that more than like someone who's never touched editing before. But realistically, it's going to take me far too fucking long. We just need to hire someone that does that for a living. Tapping the vent. Right.
Tapping the vent.
What else we got?
It's
I'm a
tapping
bit
the vent.
upset that you didn't come with any fucking topic suggestions at all.
I apologise.
Because now I feel like I'm absolutely fucking carrying the game. We've gone through a lot of stuff here. We've gone through... Mate, how about that video I sent you the other day, that fucking guy? You know, we get like the odd TikTok comment, like the odd dickhead TikTok comment.
Yeah.
And like we don't really think about it anymore. You come downstairs the other day, you're like, mate, we've been getting rinsed on TikTok recently. And I was like, yeah, fucking whatever. Like 5 days worth of fucking abusive comments. I was just like over it. I just didn't even realise.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It wasn't until you said, I was like, yeah, to be fair, it's been a rough couple of days.
Oh man, I was having this conversation with my mum yesterday, and I said, she was like shocked. She was like, "Do you really get those kinds of comments?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all the time." But we just laugh.
Bastards.
But we just laugh at them because, like, the thing is, when you understand where they're coming from, and the fact that half of them aren't even real human beings, it's just like, why? What's the point?
The thing is, I don't understand where they're coming from. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes me a bit sad because it's like it must be a fucking cruel, dark place that they're in.
Yeah.
Truly.
Or like you say, it's like the ones that do it for like sport, basically.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just do it as...
Yeah, but fucking what a shit sport.
I
You're never going to get fucking televised doing
no,
that.
I don't
are
think
you?
it's going to catch on, is it?
No,
It
it's
ain't going to be in the Olympics.
There's no sponsorships for fucking being a
And now
knobhead.
we have come across to the hate comment event. It's like it's
Oh,
just not
God.
happening, is it? You know what I mean?
Banter off.
Yeah. It's
mate.
just like two lads sat across from each other on fucking computers.
Don't
that.
like it. Yeah.
It's just not happening.
You could make it work though, because we could definitely do like a parody of that. Like imagine esports style footage,
hate comment esports.
but it's just just them. That's a solid. That's probably a South Park episode already, isn't it?
Oh, it must be. Yeah, they must have jumped on that for sure. But yeah, that video was like, he was mad.
Yeah. So the video we're talking about was there was this guy. There is some context that I've learned since that may or may not be true. But there was a guy who literally just posted a video about, it was the new year or whatever. He had started in the gym. He was obviously lifting fuck all weight, like absolute, minimum weight scenes. He was that guy that was embarrassed to go because of how skinny he was and all the rest of it. And what he decided to do to help him along was document the journey and just upload the videos, not really expecting anything to happen, just like, this is how it was pitched to us. And bless him, he's fucking at it and he's making gains. He's jumped up 30 pounds in the first couple of weeks first couple of months of training. Fair play to him. In the comments, it's like, mate, you're using this machine, that's gay. You're using gloves, that's gay. You're gay.
Yeah.
Like literally, all the comments were on that level. Of fucking
it's horrendous,
just
man.
unbelievable nastiness.
Yeah.
It's like, this kid is the sweetest sounding kid
Yeah.
I've ever heard. He's out there doing bits, doing something positive, and it's just like, there's nothing to hate about it.
No.
There's actually nothing to hate
If
about
anything, all it is being like, you got to support that. You know what I mean? And like properly give him props.
fucking
But these
comments,
people
bro.
are just like, I mean, it just goes to show you that how dark the internet can be.
It's
You know,
brutal.
and like it's like the horrific side of the internet. Like for everything the internet has given us, like the ability to talk to anyone that we want to at any time, like the ability to run a business so easy from your house, the ability to, do so many things that's helped us. But then out of that help has just spawned like the most horrific stuff
It is horrible.
that people can think of. It's just like unreal.
But like,
Unreal.
I was watching that and I was like, we get so lucky with our shorts.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Compared to stuff like that, there's nothing near as bad as that.
Because remember, I don't want to upset the TikTok algorithm gods because this is going to go up as a short and it's very, very important that it does well for the future of our podcast.
Please and thank you, TikTok.
But TikTok is full of nonsense. It's full of fucking absolute weapons. And we are showing ourselves, even our worst performing videos are being shown to 250 random people from that pool of mostly nonsense every day. And all we've got are basically the same 3 comments of, don't quit the day job, not everyone needs a podcast.
That's a classic.
And what else is there? fucking, what's the other one?
What is it? I can't remember what. I know what you mean. I just can't remember what it is.
Hold on. Let me have a look at recent
Don't quit
comments.
your day job. I still laugh every time I look back at that one. That's like, oh, careful, mate. You boys are in all that debt. Best sell off the stuff you
That
got.
fucking
Like,
guy.
mate, come on. Come on now. Don't quit your day job.
Right, not everyone should have a podcast.
That's a
I'm actually
classic.
looking through our thing right
Yeah.
now. Proof that not everyone needs a podcast.
Anything along that line.
Boys, let's start a podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
what
one.
it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
As if we're saying that. Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I mean, to be fair to them, that's pretty much what we did on episode 1.
Oh, the fuck is this podcast? Yeah, I've had that one before.
That comment is actually true in some way.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing that fucks
You
me
know,
off.
when
because
people are like, oh, boys, let's start a podcast. That's basically, I said, instead of boys, I said, Chris, let's start a podcast.
Mate, that's it, yeah.
And here we are.
That's the only one that I can't really argue with because it's like, yeah, not everyone does need a podcast.
No.
We're just under the impression that we might be able to make a good one
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
You obviously don't agree.
Yeah.
So,
and that's fine.
It's
I
okay.
don't really care that you think of this shit, but that's not the point.
brother, it's also quite simple to just fucking swipe up. Like, you've just wasted 10 seconds of your time writing this bullshit cookie cutter comment. Anyway, what was my point with that? Yeah, that's the worst of what we get, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we've been called homosexual a couple of times as well.
I'm sure it will get worse. But
Which is not, there's nothing wrong with being homosexual. It's just not nice to be mislabeled, is it? If you're not.
it's going to get worse.
It's
It's going to get worse, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like, I'm under no impression that these are very chill comments at the moment. And there'll come a day. Oh, there'll come a day when it's
Yeah.
just like, you just got to just... Yeah.
Mate, if that kid gets them, we're certainly going to get it.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, never mind. What can you do?
So you find out what his name is and get him on the pod.
I was going to look for his name, but it wasn't in the video that I watched.
Yeah.
The only thing about that was I was looking at the comments in the interest of fair argumentation, and apparently, allegedly, this kid has also been spreading like bare misinformation about fitness and all that, and that's why people generally don't like him and all the rest of it. Dilly-dilly-dilly. I mean, we were watching one video of his entire repertoire, and we've been fucking guilty of misinformation as well, but not misinformation like in terms of we are expressly intending to say fucking wrong stuff to confuse people or to sell a product or anything like that.
just
Like,
been wrong.
we don't sell anything. We just don't know enough about
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm sorry.
We just don't know anything.
It's really fucking hard, troops, to have a fucking podcast where you talk about life and know everything there is to know about everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes we speak about anecdotal evidence and we apply, our lessons into stuff that you might know more about. And for that, we apologise.
But also, if you do know more than us, which is highly likely,
Yeah.
chuck in the comments.
Hey, yeah, but just don't be a dickhead about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking hell. There was a guy the other day who, me and my dad, we parked at the gym, like in this like car park that's not really a car park, it's just an empty space where it's free, and you know where it is, but I'm explaining for the podcast listeners.
yeah.
There's this empty space where it's basically a fucking free-for-all. There's no
Yeah,
lines
yeah.
or anything like that. And so therefore, people obviously park like dickheads. It's not that they park like dickheads, it's just they don't always have the cleanest point of reference. Do you know what I mean? So
Because if one person parks skewy, if that fucking
then
sends a
it-
domino
chain
effect down
reaction,
the car park. doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really fucking busy in this car park the other day, but there was just about enough space so that cars could still get past me. And I was like, I am fucking playing the game close here, but I've just about made it. So I pulled it in. Dad agreed. He parked in front of me. And so we got out and we were just checking the spaces, just to say like, just to confirm basically that, there's plenty of space for a car. Cool. We had no dramas with that. And as we were walking away, we were taking the piss. I was just saying like, if someone can't fucking get out of that, they deserve to be stuck because there's so much space there. And he was like, yeah, fuck him, I'll do what I want. We were just being assholes, but we were just taking the piss. Anyway, there's this old guy walking past us as we were doing that. And I heard him kind of go, And I was like, oh, maybe he just thinks we're funny. Like, maybe he's just good vibes. He seemed like a good vibes. He was kind of smiling.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, he's just seen us having a laugh. He's like, yeah, fucking, if they can't, like, he obviously agrees with us. Whatever. No, it turns out he was one of the cars that we were making sure could actually get out, if you know what I mean. Like, he was parked in one of the riskier spots. And as we were walking off, we heard him go, well, to be fair, it was a bit of a shit place to park, lads. And I was just like, obviously, it all escalated from there. Like, we kicked off, he kicked off back. It was just a general bad vibes situation.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a scrap. He ended up getting quite upset, actually, and like his voice cracked at one point. He got in his car and he like accelerated, his wheel spun off. He embarrassed himself, to be fair, but we didn't exactly not embarrass ourselves either, if you know what I mean, because we could have dealt with it in a much calmer manner. But we were talking about it afterwards, and we were like, and this is where it comes back to the TikTok comments. We were talking about it afterwards, and we were thinking about, like, you know, did we react the right way? Is there a better way we could have reacted? And I was like, to be fair, what the fuck was he expecting? Like, I understand that we should just be thinking about, like, how we could be better as people. But what was he expecting from that? When you go in and realistically, you can get out and there's actually no problem here. When you create a problem and you deliver it in such a rude way, what fucking result are you expecting from anybody?
Yeah.
And therefore, you're lucky that it's actually us who are reasonable men that don't want to go to prison rather than two fucking lunatics. Because if we were nutcases, we would have just gone and sparked them out. Simple as. Thankfully, we're law-abiding men and we don't like violence. So we didn't. But that could have easily been the situation. And TikTok's the same way. Like, if you do know more about us and something that we talk about on the podcast, feel free to give us a little bit of extra information in the comments about something. Don't be a fucking knobhead about it. Otherwise, we're just not going to listen. Do you know what I mean? Fuck's sake. I'm going to change that battery.
Yeah. We're all about learning here. The whole idea with this podcast, we say it all the time, is that we're learning. We are seeing what happens when two random dudes in a house talk about stuff for the first time and try and build an audience, right? Within 100 episodes. So this is all an experiment. We're all learning, and we want to learn, and we want to learn new things. We're open to learning. We like new things. Yeah. But like you say, don't package it in a way that's just negative and doesn't need to be packaged that way.
Don't fucking ask us to get everything right. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, if we say something and the answer is like 312, don't then go on, when we post the short, don't then go on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram and go, oh, actually, mate, it's 312, you dickhead. Like, what's the need? Just say, actually, boys, it is 312. So
it comes down to this. This is not just a lesson to the people that leave comments like that on TikTok. This isn't just a lesson for them, but it's a lesson to everybody, including ourselves, on how we deliver bad news to people, how we deliver corrections to people. Ask yourself, do you care about being right, or do you care about actually informing that person?
Or helping that other person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, are you actually trying to, let's say you are really passionate about women's rights, and you see somebody that you think is misinformed on women's rights. Like, maybe someone says, oh, women are equal to men, and you don't believe that's true. So what are you more interested in? Are you interested in making them see that women still have a long way to go? Or are you interested in being right and fucking shutting them down? Because if you're interested in only the latter, all you're going to do is create enemies. I'm not going to like you very much. And if I don't like you very much, I'm very unlikely to listen to anything that you've got to fucking say. Because there are plenty of people informing me, or that I look up to, that I do like. So I'm just going to listen to them. There's 8 fucking billion people in the world. One of the fastest ways I can categorize who I do and do not listen to is whether or not I think you're a twat. Please do not.
I mean, it's a good point.
Please do not treat people like assholes and then expect them to like you very much.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, for sure.
I've seen it.
It comes back. It kind of goes full circle to what we were talking about at the start, which is the way, the purpose in which you are doing your like. What are you doing your actions for? Are you doing it to help other people, or are you doing it selfishly?
Exactly.
And most of the time with these comments, it is all coming from a selfish place.
Yeah.
It's all coming from, I want to be right, I'm going to tell you this, and you need to listen to me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just no. Listen. You're doing it to try and help someone, right? And then whenever, I always like it, the good thing about having all of these negative comments is then when you get a positive comment through,
yeah,
it hits home so much nicer.
Yeah.
Because you sit there and go, oh, thank the Lord. There are some genuine people in the world and genuine people on social media that want to help and want to be a kind human being.
Mate,
You know what I mean?
wee my pants when someone comments and they've actually got a real fucking name and a profile picture. I'm like, oh, fuck me. John, I've never been more pleased to see you, son.
Actually a person,
Where have you been?
Yeah. They have a job and a family and a life. You're like, oh, blessed.
Beautiful. Their TikToks are shit, but God bless, they're real.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
at least.
Fuck, you know.
Yeah, man.
Oh, God.
It makes it all the better. And like I think that's a good bit of advice. Like if you're gonna give someone some information, I mean the classic thing that I've always had from like my work is giving feedback is sometimes like giving it as a shit sandwich.
Yeah.
So you have like you give them a good thing, then you slide the bad thing in between. That's like the ham or the cheese, and then you give them another bit of bread, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of like it's not just like you've done this wrong. It's like, well, you did this. This was good. This was good. This wasn't quite so good. Here's how we're going to improve that.
You know, that's notoriously. Chris Voss would say that's a notoriously bad way.
Is it?
To do it. Yeah,
Interesting.
because it's like you're trying to hide what the actual extent of the problem is. You're trying to soften the blow.
Yeah, that is true. Rather than just like labelling it for what it is.
Mate, you don't need to bother with all that.
Yeah.
All people want to hear is solutions.
Yeah.
So if you're just going to deliver the problem, but you're doing a really good job, that doesn't fucking help at all.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying, hey, so we called you in today, you're doing a good job, but this is a bit shit, but don't worry, you're doing a good job. They're just like,
They're not going to listen to the shit bit.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
You're trying to basically hide the fact that you think I'm doing a shit job. That's how that's going to come across. Whereas if you go, look, I got bad news. This problem happened, and it looks like it's because maybe that you did this or you forgot to do this. Right, that's the bad news out of the way. However, there is a solution. The solution is if we just do this, this, and this, we can fix it.
That is true. You basically you take that initial layer of bread off. You expose the ham and the cheese.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Straight in.
So I guess it's more like cheese on toast than a sandwich.
It's just fucking... Mate, don't complicate it with fucking... What the fuck is cheese and toast got to do with it? It's about being solution orientated and not just listing problems.
Yeah, for sure.
The most annoying fucking people in anywhere in life are people that just can point out the problem of something and not give an answer. No one wants to hear what the problem is.
Yeah.
If they have to hear what the problem is, cool. But if you actually want to listen, you need to start chucking some solutions out there as well.
It's the biggest thing for me that I've, one of the things on my list that I'm trying to improve on this year is just like, rather than being like, oh my God, I've got the problem and this is happening, this is happening, rather than being like, right, okay, this is the problem, let's work on solving it now.
Yeah.
Like, forget, the problem's happened, it's done, there's no point in worrying about it.
Yeah.
Like, let's actually try and stay calm and figure out a way to improve it.
And even if your solution's shit, just the idea that you go in with that element of, hey, I've got this somewhat loose idea of a solution.
It's a trial. We like a little trial.
Like a little do's. Yeah, people like to know that you're just giving a fuck. Anyway, we've got fucking 2.5 minutes left of this podcast episode. Would you believe it?
Fuck off. Have we?
No, it's done. Yeah, it's done. I mean, we could be really fucking risky and go for a back-to-back fucking episode recording, but it just doesn't go well for us.
Nah.
We think we've got loads to say, and then the new episode comes along and we're like, no, we fucked up.
I think the singular ones, and we can just, it's quality over quantity again, isn't it, at the end of the day?
It's better to end it here feeling like we still had stuff to say.
Correct.
One thing we haven't done, and I think we should just skip it this week because we physically don't have enough time, is the
AI segment.
AI thing.
Yeah, we've got a lot of those to catch up on.
We
should probably hold fire on that segment for a little bit and get the ones out that we've already got.
Yeah. And to be completely frank, if I've got to be completely honest and open with everyone, I am in need of a wee.
So you're just going to cut this entire podcast short because you need a piss?
Fuck you all.
Selfish twat. Anyway,
Bye
thank you for joining, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Two Beast podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast on whatever your preferred platform is. We'll see you next time. All the best.